Hello guys, welcome to the channel. We are in S-Class in a Miata, so I decided to do a little something different. Alcohol may or may not have been involved, and a V8 may have made its way into what might as well be a wind-up car, so starting this video off into turn 1, we've managed to overtake a Ferrari who is seemingly not too happy about us overtaking him. And of course, what looks like a McLaren is in the same boat, so they decided to really take the inside. Steering in this thing is not the easiest. I think all that extra weight in the front end is really hindering the ability to steer. Anyways, after turn 5, if you look at the tachometer, you would see that my acceleration is off the charts in this thing. Anyways, here I am going off on the inside, missing my braking point, and I forgot this thing cannot steer for crap, so I decided, while I wait for all these supercars to go on, I decided to make a sandcastle, even taking some extra time to let the last two go ahead, and they end up making a lot of distance, so we're going to skip ahead to when I finally catch up to them. Alright, coming into turn 4 and making our way to turn 5, I did manage to catch up to the Ferrari and Mustang. Now, we are right on the straightaway, so this is my chance to really close in the gap, and the time is really starting to show that. For some reason, we got a couple signs entering the track. I don't know if they're going to try and join the race or what, but that seems to be a common thing. And going into the left-hander, I do manage to take the inside, and I managed to get around Bandito. Now we're off to Spoon Getty and the Mustang. Braking a little earlier than what I need to. Learning my lesson from the first lap, I really should remember to brake early in this car. Obviously not designed for high speed, nor is it really designed to 100% be on the track, but it seems like that's what we turned it into. Anyways, going into the final turn here, Bandito does try to make a move, but the Mustang going off, making a sandcastle, then going off and cutting the grass. Seems like he was really stressed out, had to do every stress relief he could think of. And let's go ahead and skip ahead, see if I can catch up to the pack. Okay, so bad news is I didn't gain any more positions, nor did I catch up to the pack. Good news is the car is still in one piece, and I managed to cross the line at 11th place. And to be honest, that's kind of how I felt it would go, near the bottom of the pack. But I gained nor lost any positions, so let's take this thing back to the garage, maybe get some grip, take out some power, and see what we can do about that turning radius. Alright, heading off to Road America now. I did sacrifice a little bit of power for grip by putting some wider tires on here and removing the camshaft and such, but the thing still has a ridiculous acceleration. And going into turn 1, a lot of people are getting around me, still not the greatest at high-speed turning. Seems like that's going to be the car's main downfall, so still having to brake a little early and taking the corners a lot slower than a majority of the pack, so the straight line speed is going to be my best friend during this race. Now, here we are on the straight, nearly topping out at 170, catching up to the Ford Falcon driven by a Larson fan here. Braking a little late there than what I'm used to. It seems like I was a little distracted trying to go around Larson there, who does do a cutback on me. I get around him for about 2 seconds, but again, I brake a little late than what the car could handle. Or it's just the driver being terrible, who knows. Someone kicked up some dust, making it a little hard to see, but I'm trying to get around Larson like as best as I can. A little bit of contact was made. Not enough to really mess with anyone's race though, so I can't really complain too much going into the carousel. And I think this is the type of corner I could actually take as fast as the rest of the pack. But it's not going to really matter if I can't really get that power onto the road. I think I caused a little bit of wheel spin there, and I do got the widest tires I could possibly get for the car, so it just goes to show that 1,300 pounds and I think 600 or 700 horsepower. I'm going to have to go back through and recheck that, but anyways, the Porsche by Kai does get around me. It seems like he does not want to get beaten by a Porsche. And that seems to be an ongoing thing in this one. It seems like everyone was more desperate to get around me versus everyone else. It could be the car. It could be they recognize my gamer tag and realize, hey, this guy sucks. Let's not get beaten by him. But anyways, on to this straightaway. I do manage to start catching up to Larson here. Pretty easy pass there, but it's not going to last too long, so I do got to brake a little bit early, but I do brake a little later than what I normally would. Leaving a little bit of room for Larson to get around. He takes the inside, gets around me again, but here I managed to brake on time. But he does dip a couple tires off and goes wide there, managing to keep it on the track to avoid any penalties, but he still made one massive mistake because we are on the straightaway that I could get away from him from. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead here to some action. Now, Hawklaw is right behind me right now. In fact, he's going to be nipping at my heels, going around me quite easily. Deep chain and Sir Nipples, or Sir No Nipples, right behind me within a tenth of a second. So, putting some pressure on me, going into this right-hander here. Chain closing the gap. Sir No Nipples trying to go on the outside. He goes off into the grass by the looks of it. Obviously thinking he could get around, but it didn't really work out in his favor whatsoever. Going into the final turn now. Chain here trying to take the inside there. And this is where I think the Miata could take him on a quarter mile, but when it comes to full-on straight-line speed, this is the one car on the track that I cannot outpower, as he makes it known that I am in a Miata still, and winning against some of these supercars is not going to be very easy. I have to pause here because I almost caused a crash due to my own ego getting the best of me. Don't want to cause anyone to wreck or anything like that. I know I'm in a car that's not really meant to be in this league, but I'm still here anyways. Fran B, on the other hand, he is really starting to close the gap right now. So, luckily I'm on my favorite straightaway. This is where I start really getting some distance on people. Hanging on 7th place as well. It seems like I'm doing a really good job at that at the moment. Going into this left-hander here, this is where I start getting a little bit of pressure because people are starting to really close the gap, trying to get into this other one, trying to get out of this section as quick as possible. Fran B getting under a second right now, right behind me, going into the, well, almost to the carousel. He is 0.2 of a second away. I'm starting to freak out a little bit, wondering if I can keep this position. Trying to get into the carousel as quick as possible. That's the one turn I could actually take at around the same speed as everyone else. Starting to pull away again. Kid with a throw, though, he does have a second of penalties. He does manage to get around him. Fran now battling with him. That gives me a little bit of breathing room because I know he's battling it out with someone else. Finally getting onto a couple straightaways, trying to put that raw power to the ground. Trying to use my advantage. Sir No Nipples making it into a 3-way, possibly even a 4-way battle if they manage to close the gap. Going into this right-hander, they really start putting pressure on. And of course, that race timer going up. We got 2 minutes to finish the race. I'm trying to keep my position as best I can. Sir No Nipples nipping at my heels. Starting to get close. He's gonna make a cutback here. But he's got to remember, I threw a V8 in a 1,000-pound car, and I managed to get around him like nothing. Crossing the line here in 7th place. Cannot believe how well this thing performed. I managed to gain 3 positions. Let's take it back to the garage because I know it's not at its peak, so let's go ahead and get that done. Alright guys, final race of the video, and we're going to throw some rain into here. So that's going to cause a bit of a learning curve going into turn 1. I did sacrifice a little bit of power for some more handling stuff. And by that, I put some wider tires on the front and put some new rims on here. Hopefully making the car a little bit lighter, making it to where I could corner a little bit easier. And it honestly felt like I probably could. We got a couple of Mazda F1s here, and it looks like they're not in agreement on one another. Seems like one was supposed to be the only one on the track, and the other one was just copying him, so they decided to knock each other off the race. Don't worry, we're not going to see the last of that one. I can promise you that one. Catching up to a Porsche, though, I'm trying to get used to the Mazda Miata all over again, because it does handle quite a bit better, and I did lengthen the gears out a little bit, so I don't get as good acceleration, but I do get just as high speed while I get smacked on the rear end, kind of like a couple videos ago. Don't know why I keep getting that to happen to me. It's almost like people don't know what the brakes are. Anyways, going into S-bend here, I start closing in on the pack. It looks like a podium is among reachable. I probably could have worded that one better, but either way, I'm starting to really catch up to 4th and 5th place, and 3rd is not too far behind them in that BMW, so at this point, I'm just trying to keep my cool, keep the power to the ground. We got Fran B in this race as well. He's what looks like a Lamborghini from that quick glance. Going into the chicane here, slowing down quite a bit. I still got to brake a little bit early still. Again, pushing the car well past its limits. I've managed to get around the F1 car, though. Going into the final turn, Corvette slowing down. I got to try and take it a little slower. And the F1 does manage to tap me on the back. It seems to hinder his race more than it hinders mine, so. Anyways, we're on the straightaway. I managed to get the thing up to 160, so going into turn 1 here, the F1 car is going to make a dive, and the Corvette's going to knock me out of the way. Seems like he's not too happy that a Miata was pretty much outdoing him. And that's going to be a common theme of the race. It seems like if I manage to get around him, he's going to either bump me out of the way or he's going to try all he can to make my race a living hell. So, anyways, I'm getting right behind him, trying to get his draft because the rain is going to make it a little bit harder. But at the same time, I know I don't have good grip and I know I don't really have good handling in this thing. So anyways, going into this little S-bend here, I'm not too sure what the name of it is. It is a Nürburgring, and I don't really know my German all that well. Ancestral Peak, he was in the other F1 car, so he's nipping at my heels at the moment. He seems to be catching up pretty easily. Corvette taking it way too wide. I'm trying to take advantage of it, keeping the car in a gear higher than I probably should. I don't want to try and put too much power to the ground. If I cause too much wheel spin, I will drift the thing. Again, the car is only, I think, 1,300 pounds. Making way too much horsepower than what the chassis can handle, so flooring it is not going to be a very smart thing. So I'm going to try and have to carry as much speed as I can throughout the turns. But anyways, going on, finally getting to the straightaway, and trying to close the gap onto this Corvette that bumped me out of the way. I'm trying to get as close as I can before we get to the chicane here, where I'm trying to really put some pressure on him, and he does take the BMW out as well. It seems like he's really desperate for the win. Either that or he's really in the American muscle cars almost more than I am, and is hell-bent on making them seem like the best car ever. But anyways, on the straightaway, I do manage to get around him again. But I do forget to take into account of the rain. I do end up missing my braking point, locking up the brakes a couple times. I gotta take this turn a little wide. Corvette's almost gonna get around me. I do take this corner a little wide too, where he takes the inside. Ancestral Peak does the same. I think I get a warning for this. No, I don't get any sort of penalty. But they do manage to take inside and really mess up my racing line, but it was risk versus reward, and I'm the ultimate one that didn't really get any win out of that little turn. So anyways, going into this little S-bend here, I do keep up with Ancestral Peak pretty well. He's taking this little hairpin a little wide. The fact that I was able to take it as tight as I did makes me kind of proud of this thing. I do take this corner, or this hairpin, a little too wide as well, because I do miss my braking point. I think I was just very desperate to catch up to the Corvette, since he was not really racing the cleanest. And knowing that I could have been in top 5, maybe even top 3, kind of makes me slightly upset, not gonna lie. Anyways, going into this left-hander, I'm trying to put as much pressure as I can on Ancestral Peak, trying to cause him to make a mistake, just so I could get at the Corvette, trying to get onto the straightaway again. Again, trying to use that raw power to my advantage, trying to catch up to him, make it known, hey, look, I'm still a contender here before the chicane. Managed to close the gap quite a bit, trying to take this a lot faster than I should. Ancestral Peak dipping his tires off. I take full advantage, trying to catch up to Gratitude here in the Corvette. And in the final turn, trying to really put the pedal to the metal, even though I probably shouldn't, because the wheel spin will be what messes me up. And there I am, slowly but surely closing the gap. I do miss my braking point again. Trying to take this turn a little tighter, but Gratitude decides he's going to block my racing line, try to keep me from passing him. Seems like he's very desperate to keep that 6th place position, even though he's got all those penalties. Don't think he realizes, hey, you got 3 seconds in penalties, so me and Ancestral Peak already have our position over you. But I do have that half second of penalties now, so that's going to make it to where my main opponent is Ancestral Peak. Where I do take it on the inside, he does give me a little love tap there, not enough to really mess with anyone's race, while Gratitude does go off into the sand, manages to get back on and recover before we can get back up there. I thought he was going to try and take me out there, but I do get around him. Trying to take this hairpin pretty tight, but he does manage to bump me off into the, well, almost into the sand. It seemed like he was going to try and make sure that he was just going to make my life a living hell in this race. I tried taking up on the inside on him, but he does block off a little bit. He does try to bump me off again. And I struggle to keep it under control there. I do get an avoidable contact warning. Anyways, going into these little S-bend here, taking this right-hander. Gratitude taking it a little too wide, while Ancestral Peak tries to really go around him. It seems like he's trying to close the gap quite a bit, but fails epically. Trying to get to the chicane before he can really do anything. I'm late on the brakes again. Try to take it on the inside while keeping it in the track. I managed to bump him a little bit, giving him a little piece of my mind, but I don't get much of a penalty for it. Going into the final turn here, I think this is when I realize, okay, there's not really much I can do. Just gotta try and stay within his penalty range. And that I actually do pretty well. I start closing the gap quite a bit, where I finish in, I think, 7th place. Yeah, 7th place. Didn't gain, nor did I lose any positions. Anyways, that's going to be the video, guys. If you got a wacky idea for a build, please comment it down below. I'll try to make it. And, of course, if you want to see it, please be sure to subscribe, maybe like the video. And with that being said, guys, I am out of here. Later.